Another teaching couple at Elkhart, Mr. and Mrs. Clarence Newman. They're an outstanding teaching couple. He taught social studies in the high school. She taught, I think it was 4th grade, one of those middle grades. Excellent teachers. Mrs. Newman was as calm and as professional and kind. Excellent kind of a teacher. My children were not fortunate enough to have her, but I knew that kids that got her as a teacher were going to have a good year. Mr. Newman, very kind, considerate, professional teacher. Loved history, loved the social sciences, did a good job. But he had a short fuse. You may recall that he was the gentleman that on one of the early weeks of school, the early days of school that first year, delivered a boy to the office with fire in his eye and practically carrying the kid by a twisted ear. Well, years later, I ran into one of the teachers. Got to visiting about the good old days back at Elkhart, and we both had obviously enjoyed our time there. And he said, you know that Mr. Newman, you know what his nickname was? And I said, no, I didn't even know that teachers had nicknames. Oh yeah, he said everybody had a nickname. I guess when the guys were together, they'd get to yak and give a nickname to their fellow teachers. Yeah, he said his nickname was Sparky because of that quick temper. Well, I could kind of see that. So we visited a little bit more, and he told me about this one or that one and their nickname. So I got curious. And I said, well, what was my nickname? He laughed. He said, the Bang. Boy, I didn't particularly consider that a complimentary nickname. But, you know, I was the one that asked. I was the one that had the nickname. You ask, you find out. Made me think a little bit about it. Well, the Newmans were doing a great job for us. Never even entered my mind that they would leave. But at the end of that first year, sometime, I don't know, late in the summer, I think, he came in and said he was going to accept the superintendency, and he named the school. I can't remember the name of it, so I'm not keeping it back for any reason. But a school in the western part of Kansas, well north of us, quite a bit north. And an unusual situation. I don't remember all the timing sequences, but if I remember the story right, it was a school that at Halloween the previous year, the 56, 57 year, at Halloween they'd had a party, an evening party, and apparently had set up a couple of rooms to scare the kids, you know. Probably charge a fee to go in there and be scared. Well, apparently the superintendent was part of the act, and evidently was standing on a chair with a rope around his neck, so that when the kids walked in, he'd pretend he was hanging. Well, somewhere during the evening things went wrong. We went south in the worst possible way. You know, they never knew for sure. Did he faint? Did he slip? Did somebody kick the chair? You know, lots of things go on when a man dies in a situation like that. But at any rate, the superintendency was open, and Mr. Newman accepted it, and you couldn't help but be glad to see him take it, so we lose a good pair of teachers. when he came back, and oh boy was I glad to see him and his wife indicate that they were returning to Elkhart if we had openings for them, and we did for the following school year. I didn't quiz him about any details on that story at all. But I couldn't help but wonder in later years, and even today, was there something about that job that what had happened with the previous superintendent that made him feel like, I don't want to continue as a superintendent? Or was he at heart, this I think is the real answer, the man was a teacher, not a man that wanted to be in charge of a school district. But at any rate, they came back. Mrs. Newman, I believe, again had a 4th grade assignment, and Mr. Newman had a different assignment. But we'll get to that a little later.